Hey guys, it's Core Ross, and today we are going to be building Alibi's Prisma for Rainbow Six Siege. We're also going to be unboxing a 3D printer, and this video is also sponsored. Let's get into this. So I received a big package in the mail. This is the first thing inside, which is just a piece of paper that you can actually use to calibrate the 3D printer. Now I've unboxed many 3D printed things on this channel in the past, but I've never actually printed anything myself. So we are actually going to jump into the deep end here and make a full-size prop from Rainbow Six Siege. And today we'll be printing this out on the Creality Ender-3 S1 Pro. And I was also very lucky that Darny3D agreed to send me over the 3D model of the Prisma so I could actually try doing this myself. He has his own online store where he actually sells Rainbow Six Siege props, and you can go check him out on Twitter as well. And especially because he's based not too far away from me in Scotland, you can actually buy his stuff if you're outside of the UK are very cheap right now because, of course, the pound is very weak against other currencies. So if you want to actually buy, this is the time to do it. But anyway, back to the unboxing. So this is the hot end of the 3D printer where the actual filament comes out, and it is a very dense little cube of technology. But we also have the low-tech stuff in here. We've got a scraper, specifically unsharpened, so you can get your 3D prints off without damaging them. We've also got the holder for the actual filament, the reel up the top, and it has a beautiful little bearing up spinner as well, so that it will feed in very nice and gently and smoothly over time. And the printer also comes with a little bit of white PLA filament that you can use to do your first ever print. And then we've got the manual alongside some branded stickers, a bag full of tools that you need for maintaining the printer and tuning it all up as well. And then we've got the big part. So this is the part that will hold the hot end, and it will go up and down and left to right. Then we have the base, which I gotta say looks incredible with this steel plate here that has a special coating that nicely takes your prints off once it cools down. And it looks amazing. Also magnetic as well, so that's great. Take it off very easily to get your prints off. Yeah, so sweet. And then the next step for me was to put the 3D printer together, switch it on, do a manual calibration, and then you go into an automatic calibration, which this is doing right now. And then we were finally ready to start printing and to make myself my first ever Rainbow Six Siege prop made by myself. So the first step was to 3D print a little test print. So I made a little rabbit and printed it out. This came on the SD card with a 3D printer. So I was able to just immediately set it out and go. And yeah, it ended up coming out really, really good without any problems. So thankfully I hadn't messed anything up yet. And that led me into printing the Prisma. So a very long print here, 12 hours. Of course, you can print for way longer as well if you're making anything even bigger than this. But this was my first foray into actually printing out a proper 3D model of something that obviously I wanted to keep and paint, and that would mean that I wanted it to come out looking as good as possible. But considering this Prisma has a lot of like flat sides, I thought we should do something a bit more complicated. So I had a look on Thingiverse and I found this skull by TechJock, and it's got a lot of supports in order to print it. And I also decided to do this one with no infill at all to see how good the printer would be at creating this with quite a hard job, because there's a lot of overhangs, there's a lot of internal areas that are just not supported whatsoever. And it came out looking incredible. And I was a bit daunting about trying to take this support off because this was a 6-hour print to do this. I was like, I don't want to break it now. And this is about 50% size of the actual original model as well. But the support came off, and yeah, look at that. So that is incredible. I'm amazed how good the detail is on that. And obviously very kind of opposite from the Prisma that's all very smooth and lots of straight lines. This is just curves everywhere and lots of different shapes. And when I pulled it out at first, I was kind of not entirely sure how the overall structure of the jaw was going to look and if it was going to be nice and clean. And it ends up incredibly looking amazing. But anyway, back to the Prisma. And here is the final print with all its accompanying parts as well that go together. And it looks absolutely sensational. So thanks again to Darny3D for his 3D model, and Creality for sending out their Ender-3 S1 Pro. But let's now move on to finishing this prop. We are now going to paint it. And I'm not going to make it perfectly accurate to the in-game model, so the colors will not be bang on or anything like that. I'm going to use basically what I have and a few things that I've ordered. But I did think of a few cool things, because this is a high-tech piece of kit in-game. It has like chips and stuff on it. So I thought, I've got this old Xbox 360 that I took apart years ago because it obviously died, and I can break a bunch of chips off it and reuse them on the outside to give this thing a little bit more interesting details on the outside and hopefully make it look high tech as it does in the game. I also used real screws in the bottom, and I found a bunch of old transfers from a model of a Willis Jeep that I had, and these were leftover transfers for the thingy, so I just put them all around the outside, and it just adds to the complexity. Of course, it's not screen accurate to what we actually have in the game. I'm not trying to be, but I think what we've got here is something that a Siege player would probably realize is a Prisma, and you could think of it as a different variant from what Alibi actually uses. However, you may have noticed that we're missing one part, which is the switch for this gadget that actually switches it on. So we're going to pressure fit this into the top here, and I think this just brings the whole thing together. Again, it's not painted the right color or anything for in-game version, but it's pretty sweet. I think it looks great. And the texture on that tiny part also came out really, really well. So big props to the Ender-3 S1 Pro there. And let me know what you think of my Prisma in the comments below, because I am right now very happy with how it looks. I'd love to know what you guys think in the comments below.